You are not broken, you have been told that lie for years. What feels like brokenness is something else entirely. It is a disconnection from a part of yourself. That part has a name. Carl Jung called it the shadow. And tonight, you are going to meet it, not to fight it, to finally understand it. Because everything you have been trying to fix about yourself was never the problem. There is a version of you that you have hidden so well, you forgot it existed. It did not disappear, it went underground. From underground, it runs your life, quietly, skillfully, without your permission. You feel its work in your reactions, in your patterns, and the relationships that keep repeating themselves. You assume something is wrong with you. That assumption is the first wound. Nothing is wrong with you. Something is missing from your awareness. Most people spend their entire lives trying to repair what was never broken. They polish the persona. They strengthen the ego. They go to therapy to become a better version of who they already pretend to be. And nothing fundamental changes. Because the parts they are working on are not where the pain lives. The pain lives in what they have rejected. Every quality you despise in yourself, you have buried. Every emotion you were taught was unacceptable, you have exiled. That exile did not destroy those parts. It only made them invisible. And invisible parts do not stop existing. They start ruling. You were a child once. You were curious, angry, loud, sensitive, demanding, scared, sometimes selfish. Then the adults around you made it clear which of those traits were allowed. You learned quickly. Children always do. You kept the acceptable parts. You buried the rest in a place inside yourself. You stopped visiting. That place is what Jung called the personal shadow. It is not evil. It is just everything you were told not to be. The shadow is made of your unlived life. The talents you did not develop. The desires you did not name. It holds the anger you swallowed at age 6, the grief you postponed at 12, the hunger you called shameful at 20. None of that disappeared. It only moved beneath the floorboards of your awareness, and it has been knocking ever since. In the early 1900s, Jung noticed something strange in his patients. They kept describing the same kind of stranger in their dreams. A figure who unsettled them. A figure who felt familiar yet foreign. A figure who seemed to know things about them they did not want to know. Jung realized this figure was not a stranger. It was the dreamer, the part of the dreamer they had refused to claim. He watched these patients try to outrun this figure for years, through achievement, through relationships, through control. Nothing worked, because you cannot outrun a part of yourself. You can only become more exhausted pretending it is not there. The shadow is not a metaphor. It operates through measurable patterns. It hijacks your attention without notice. It speaks through your strongest reactions. It speaks through your obsessions. It speaks through the people who irritate you the most. This is why two people can witness the same event and feel two different things. The event is the mirror. The shadow is what looks back. Stay with me here. This next part will explain something about yourself you have never been able to articulate. You know that person who instantly annoys you? The coworker, the relative, the stranger in line. What they trigger in you is not random. It is not personality clash. It is recognition you cannot tolerate. They are showing you a quality you possess but refuse to claim. Your nervous system reacts because the truth is uncomfortably close. If you were not carrying that quality in some buried form, the person would not register. You would feel nothing. Indifference is the sign of no shadow material present. Strong reaction is the sign of buried truth. Jung wrote that we do not see things as they are. We see them as we are, especially the things we hate. But Jung discovered something even more uncomfortable about this pattern. The trait you most condemn in others is often your most denied gift. The arrogance you cannot stand may be the self-trust you abandoned. The selfishness that offends you may be the boundary you never built. This is the first sign your shadow is running your life. You have a list of people who unreasonably bother you. That list is your self-portrait in disguise. Here is the second sign. You repeat the same painful pattern in relationships and cannot understand why. You swore you would never marry someone like your parent. You did. You swore you would never abandon yourself again. You did. This is not weakness. This is the shadow-seeking expression. Buried material does not stay buried. It seeks situations that allow it to surface. The third sign is a quiet one. You feel a low-grade exhaustion you cannot trace. You sleep enough. You eat well. Yet you wake tired. You move through your day tired. The tiredness has no medical cause. This is the cost of holding a part of yourself underwater. It takes energy to keep something submerged that wants to rise. The fourth sign. You have a recurring dream or image that disturbs you. A figure, a house, a landscape you cannot escape. Your unconscious is not torturing you. It is trying to deliver a message you have refused to open for years. The fifth sign is the most subtle. You feel like an imposter in your own life. Like the person others see is not the person you are. That feeling is correct. The person others see is your persona. The person you are is buried beneath it, waiting. Picture this. You walk into a room. A stranger says something neutral. Yet within seconds you feel a familiar resentment. The Jungians have a name for what just happened. The stranger triggered your shadow. They did not create the feeling, they activated it. Comment one word below if any of these signs just described you. Type the word integration. It tells the algorithm this work matters. Then come back to me, because what comes next is the part most people never reach. Most teachers tell you to fight your shadow, to overcome it, to rise above it. This is the worst advice in depth psychology. You cannot fight what you have not met. You cannot overcome what you have not understood. You can only integrate. Integration is not the same as approval. It does not mean acting on every buried impulse. It means acknowledging the impulse exists. When you acknowledge a buried part of yourself, something remarkable happens. It stops needing to rule you in secret. The shadow only seizes control when you refuse to look at it. The moment you look, it becomes a teacher instead of a tyrant. Jung described a practice he used with patients that took only minutes per day. It was deceptively simple. He had them write down every person who had bothered them that day. Beside each name, one specific quality that triggered them. Then he had them read the list the next morning and ask one question. Where do I carry the same quality in myself? Most patients resisted this question violently. They insisted they did not carry those qualities. They insisted they were nothing like the people who triggered them. That insistence was the proof. The shadow protects itself with denial. The stronger the denial, the closer to the truth. Within weeks, those who completed the practice began to change, not because they fixed anything, because they finally saw something. What was hidden lost its power. What was acknowledged lost its grip. The patterns they had repeated for decades began to dissolve. This is your practice tonight. Take a piece of paper, write down 3 people who irritated you in the past week. Beside each name, write one quality that bothered you. Be specific, not just selfish. The exact texture of their selfishness. Tomorrow morning, read the list. Ask yourself where you carry that same quality. In small ways, in hidden ways, in ways you minimize. You will resist this. The resistance is the sign you are doing it right. Stay with the discomfort for 10 minutes. That discomfort is the doorway. Most people close it immediately. The few who walk through never go back to who they were. Here's what changes when you begin this work. Your triggers lose their grip on your nervous system. You stop being controlled by people who used to define your day. You meet someone difficult and feel curious instead of activated. Your relationships shift. The patterns that repeated for years begin to break. Not because you tried harder, because you stopped projecting. Your dreams change. The disturbing figures become guides. The locked rooms begin to open. The landscapes turn familiar. Your energy returns. The exhaustion of holding parts underwater lifts. You sleep differently. You wake differently. Your creativity returns too. The shadow holds the raw material your conscious mind was too polite to use. Artists know this. Writers, builders, and healers all draw from the same buried well. The work of integration opens that well to you for the first time. And something else returns. A feeling you have not had since childhood. The feeling of being one person, not several. This is what Jung called the beginning of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming who you actually are, not who you were conditioned to be, not who you perform as, the integrated self underneath all of it. You are not broken. You have never been broken. You have been disconnected. The work is not to fix yourself. The work is to find yourself. All of yourself. The parts you displayed and the parts you exiled. The shadow is not your enemy. It is your missing half. It carries the gold of who you were before the world taught you to hide. Tonight, before you sleep, do the practice. 3 names. 3 qualities. 1 honest question in the morning. That single act will begin a process that talk therapy spent years circling. Because you are no longer working on the surface. You are entering the depth. Your shadow has been waiting for you, not to punish you, to return what was taken from you, to make you whole. What you resist persists. What you face transforms. What you integrate becomes power. This is the Jungian way. If this opens something inside you, subscribe to the Archetype Code. The work of becoming whole is the only work that matters. And the next time someone tells you that you are broken, you will know the truth. You were never broken. You are only waiting to come home to yourself.